Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha. AI is everywhere. It's having a transformative effect on the way we live, learn and work. The good news is it has shown tremendous potential in increasing productivity, empowering people and accelerating the pace of digital transformation. However, it poses multiple challenges as well, including ethical issues, biases, data quality, privacy concerns and so on. Both these aspects, the transformative potential and the concerns related to AI, were discussed at the AI Action Summit held in Paris recently, co-chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with President of France, Emmanuel Macron. The summit brought together global leaders, policy makers, leaders of international organizations and CEOs of major AI companies to discuss critical themes, including greater access and responsible use of AI. Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's success in building people-centric applications, underlining the importance of an open and accessible technology network. Talking about India's AI mission, the Prime Minister noted that India, considering its diversity, was building its own large language model for AI. He also revealed that a unique public-private partnership model has been established to provide affordable resources, including compute power, to startups and researchers. So to understand how the government is actively fostering an ecosystem that promotes accessibility, inclusivity, innovation and self-reliance, I'm pleased to welcome on this telecast Mr. S. Krishnan, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology. Thank you, sir, for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. To begin with, sir, because the Prime Minister highlighted how India is creating an AI ecosystem which is both inclusive and accessible, tell us about some of the key initiatives that the government is undertaking to build a strong foundation for AI growth in the country.
The most key initiative that the government has undertaken, and the most ambitious one by far, is the India AI mission, which was launched in March of 2024. It was approved in early March 2024 and given effect to subsequently from about June, July of 2024. The India AI mission is been launched at a total cost of about 10,392 crores, so fairly substantial outlay. And it has 7 major pillars, 7 major elements in it. The first and most crucial element is providing adequate AI compute infrastructure. The second element is creating an AI foundational model for India. Third element is various AI related applications in places that they can be used. Fourth element is creating quality data sets for use in AI. A fifth element is skilling people in the AI space, a large skill initiative. A sixth element is promoting entrepreneurship and new enterprises in AI. And a last element relates to safe and trusted AI or responsible use of AI. So these are the 7 elements of the AI mission. And all 7 of these elements have been launched in different forms already in the past year or so. And you have seen the impact of some of those as we have gone along. And also, this is what the Honorable Prime Minister outlined while he was in France for the AI Action Summit in terms of some of the key initiatives that India has taken and India's approach to AI.
Right, so we'll talk about each of these initiatives that you just listed, which are being developed to create a strong AI ecosystem. To begin with, one of the key challenges is access to high performance computing facility. Tell us about the significance of this computing facility that we have created.
As you're aware, the most commonly used terminology in AI compute is GPUs, graphical processing units. And the main manufacturer of graphical processing units is NVIDIA, the company. And the availability of these graphical processing units to parallelly process a large number of transactions at one go is what gives them strength in the AI world. Right. They are a little different from the CPUs or the high performance computing capacities that we have. And these previously used to be used much more in graphics and games and game creation and so on. They found an application in AI. As I mentioned, NVIDIA is the leader and there are other players who are catching up in this space. The main challenge before India is adequate availability of AI compute facility. Previously, we had equipped some of the supercomputers that we had developed under the National Supercomputing Mission to enable this, and we had one machine called Airavat, which in 2024 was the 75th largest machine in the world for AI compute. But rapidly newer machines were being developed and more GPUs were being used in a number of computing facilities, and so we had to expand this. So in the AI mission, a twin approach was taken. Under the National Supercomputing Mission, we are developing our own sovereign capacity. But in the AI mission, there was a decision was taken that AI compute would be developed on a public-private partnership mode. And two modes were chosen. One is based on a viability gap funding, and another is on a voucher-based system where the government contracts AI infrastructure to be created by a number of private companies, which would then be made available for government's use, for research institutions, for academics, educational institutions, entrepreneurs, and others. So we assure a market that this compute facility would be utilized, and on that basis, the private sector makes investment in that facility. So most recently, a bid was awarded, and we'd received bids of about 18,000 plus GPUs worth of compute capacity from various private participants, about 10 to 12 private participants, and at prices which were about 60% below what were the prevailing market prices. And so now we have shortlisted all of them. Where government entities require that, then we would go ahead and provide that to government entities. Where it is to be used by researchers or by MSMEs and startups, then there would be a subsidy from the government and the balance would be paid for by those entities. So this is the structure. It's a new and innovative model which has not been tried elsewhere. It also is flexible because it means that facilities which had already come up will not suffer because they are not at a disadvantage vis-a-vis somebody who sets up a new facility with government's VGF. So it is available across the board, and it actually assures a market to enable private investment. So this is a novel approach which has been taken and which has received quite a bit of appreciation in different quarters.
Right. So my next question is related to this kind of approach that we have adopted. In several countries, we are seeing that AI research is particularly controlled by big corporations, whereas we have opened it up to researchers, to startups, to the MSMEs, as you rightly said. What's been the thought behind it? Is it just to ensure greater accessibility, or is there more thought behind it?
You see, the point is that AI compute is used in two ways. One part of it is used for training new models, and the other part is used for inferencing, as it is called. This AI compute that we have created is intended for both types of uses, both for training and for inferences. For training, it will be used by a range of enterprises and also academics and researchers who are building new models. So they will use this GPU capacity or this AI compute capacity to train their models. On the other hand, the inferencing is done by a range of participants, which is what you see when you say that large companies control many of these models. So they allow different people to come in and inference. They, through their portal or through their app or through their website, they allow people to access the model, put in their data, and find out what comes out of it. So typically when you ask an AI model like ChatGPT or Llama to give you an answer or to write, give you a summary of an article or something else that you put in there, what you are doing is inferencing. And the training is a process that happens prior to that. So we are intending to use the GPUs for both purposes, that is to both build a model and to use the model.
Okay. You said, to develop further AI independence in India, we are trying to develop our own GPU. By when can we expect? What is the kind of progress to begin with?
That is,
yes.
I mean, that actually developing our own GPU is not something which is part of the AI mission. That is something that the ministry intends to do independent of the AI mission, because we also, I mean, after all, a GPU is also a semiconductor of some kind. So we will develop it under the semiconductor mission, not under the AI mission. So it is an independent course of work where we will encourage companies to participate along with research organizations like CDAC, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, to develop a GPU. That will take some more time. That is at initial stages. It will take a while.
Okay, but what about the AI models? Because the Prime Minister did say that this is something that we are making rapid progress in, and very soon we are going to have our own indigenous AI foundational model. By when can we expect that model? And if you could give us an overview of what that AI model will look like.
Already there are some models, smaller models, which have been created in India. There is Bharat Gen in IIT Mumbai, IIT Bombay. Now that has been created with a grant from the Department of Science and Technology. There is also under the Bhashini program of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, we have supported IIT Madras and a few other startups to develop models which are being used as part of Bhashini. It's called AI for Bharat mission, which is there, which functions out of IIT Madras. So there are some models which have already started off on. There's work which has already happened. Now, under the India AI mission, we've called for applications from all of these entities to submit proposals to create new foundational models. And I'm happy to inform you that 67 such applications have been received, and they will be analyzed by a technical committee with including experts, global experts. There are a large number of persons of Indian origin and Indians who are in the AI space, both in academics and also in universities, and also with various companies, including Google and Meta and various other companies which are at the cutting edge of AI. So we have Indian experts who are there, who have volunteered their time to be part of the expert group to assess these proposals, so that we are able to support the best of these proposals to build out a full-fledged India foundational model.
Another aspect when it comes to AI, and something that the Prime Minister did focus on, was skilling and reskilling of industry-related expertise. And with regard to that, we saw in the budget last year, 3 centers of excellence were announced. This year as well, 1 center of excellence was announced. Tell us about what the key focus areas of these centers of excellence are going to be around, and which is the group of people that can benefit out of these centers.
See, I think in the AI skilling, there are a range of functions to be performed. Right. There are the cutting edge, preparing new AI models itself, and that kind of work which is at the cutting edge. Then there are people who will use these models for their use in research or for other purposes, or use AI models to, say, do drug discovery or any such activity of that nature. And there are also other tasks which need to be performed, for instance, data annotation and activity of that nature, which will ensure that you have data which can be used in an AI scenario. So those will also generate a lot of jobs. So in all of this, we will require skilled people, and so the skills that have to be imparted are at all of these levels. Now, the 3 centers which were announced last year basically will work in the area of healthcare, agriculture, and the urban environment. This year, another one has been announced, and the Higher Education Department is working on how exactly, which is the focus area of that particular group. They are basically looking at applications which have to be developed in those sectors using AI.
Right.
Now, the skilling part of it, one part of the skilling is being done through these centers of excellence. There's another part of skilling which we are working with AICTE, the IITs, and also state governments to actually redo syllabi and curriculum of many of the courses to make sure that AI is introduced as part of the program. Some courses are purely AI and data science, which are purely focused on AI. In computer science programs, there's much more emphasis on AI. But in addition, in every engineering program, and not just engineering program, even other forms of education, today there's a need to study AI and understand the impact of AI and how AI can be used in that particular sector or field. And it could be in medicine, it could be in animal husbandry, it could be in veterinary science, it could be in art history, it could be in just about any area where AI can be used, even in accounting and a variety of these professions, in law. So in all of these areas you can use AI. So I guess people who are getting skilled in those areas need to be trained as to how AI itself can be used, because it's a horizontal technology which can be used in a range of areas. So you need, as I pointed out, skilling at each of these levels. And in the India AI mission, we have a vertical which supports this. So we support PhD programs, we support MTech programs, we support BTech programs. We also support programs in polytechnics and in ITIs on tasks like data annotation and all that, which could actually offer a lot of employment to people.
So, considering India's diversity, which would be the key areas, and you spoke about education, healthcare, which have seen the maximum transformational impact of AI, something that we didn't anticipate, but it's been a positive change and something that we are now putting our energies into?
Healthcare is one of the key areas. I mean, diagnosis can improve considerably with the support of AI. For instance, radiological diagnosis based on X-rays, based on analyzing MRI reports and so on, can substantially improve when you use AI, and it is already happening. A first level screening AI is able to do, and then an experienced doctor then is called upon to do the further levels. So in that sense, their productivity goes up significantly. It's not a substitution, but a substantial enhancement of productivity. Likewise, in drug discovery, their use has become common in terms of, it's basically about discovering new molecules, proteins, which can go to form the basis of drugs and medicines, and there AI is being used extensively already. In addition, in the field of agriculture again, there's a lot of advice which can be given based on some of the data which is fed into an AI model. Then you can understand, based on soil conditions, based on weather conditions, what kind of crops can be raised, what are the prospects. All of those data can also be provided, and using chatbots, which are again AI powered, a lot of this transaction can take place through voice, and not necessarily, people don't have to necessarily type. In a country like India, where people would much rather possibly speak into a phone than to actually type out a message, using voice bots can be a huge advantage and a game changer.
So while there are several opportunities and positive impacts that we're talking about, there are also several challenges which were discussed and which were raised aptly by Prime Minister. One of them being, setting global standards for governance, because there are challenges relating to the safety aspect, there are privacy concerns. Do we have a mission, something like an India AI mission, which builds a strong foundation for AI growth? Do we have something of that sort, a framework which can take care of all of these challenges that AI poses?
Yes. Very early in the process, we appointed, the ministry appointed a committee chaired by the principal scientific advisor to the Prime Minister, Dr. Ajay Sood, to make certain recommendations on what the governance structure of AI in India should look like. And that subcommittee has produced a report which is currently in the public domain, and we are collecting feedback on that report. We expect most of the feedback to come in by the end of this month, by the end of February. Now, what the committee has basically looked at is, given India's current status on AI, they are recommending a fairly light touch regulatory approach. Their belief is that some of the harms that AI can cause, things like misrepresentation, deepfakes, etc., can be dealt with under existing legal provisions, under the IT Act, under the Bharat Nyaya Sanhita, and other provisions of law which already exist. Some of those issues can be addressed. As far as the question of data privacy is concerned, particularly about personal data, this can be addressed under the DPDP Act, which has been brought out, and the DPDP rules also, which have been notified. So both of those together would address some of the concerns relating to privacy and privacy of personal data in particular. Now, there could be certain other kind of issues like copyrights and so on, which currently is sub judice in courts in India, and hopefully something will emerge from that space as well. So in a number of cases, there is existing law which can be adapted or which can be used to look at some of the issues of AI. For this reason, I think we have been a little reluctant to rush headlong into trying to regulate AI as such, or by introducing newer dimensions which would sort of restrict the use of AI. You would recall that in November 2023, the first of these AI summits was held. That was at a place called Bletchley Park in the United Kingdom, and that was actually called the AI Safety Summit. The emphasis at that point was much more on, how you make safe AI and how you secure yourself against the various harms that AI would cause. But I think thanks to the kind of approach that a country like India took, that, we look at AI more as an opportunity and with a potential for growth, as opposed to a huge risk. I think, while not ignoring the risks, of course, but, in the balance, you see it as an opportunity for innovation, as an opportunity for growth. So that approach, I think, has now permeated the rest of the world, which is why by the time we came to the AI summit in Paris, there was a summit in between at Seoul. So by the time we came to the AI summit in Paris, we call it now the AI Action Summit. So the emphasis has shifted a bit. This is not to downplay the risks. I think there are undoubtedly risks.
So what are the kind of global efforts when the Prime Minister said the world needs to come together and work together towards some collective efforts that are required in the area of governance? Which are the areas that India is seeking the world leaders to come together in?
You see, the first one is what are called the real outlier risks, which we need to keep in mind somewhere, but not get too worked up about it, but find ways eventually to see that those what are called black swan events do not happen. Right. So the outlier risks are what are called the existential risks and so on, saying, what happens if artificial intelligence overtakes human intelligence and those kind of aspects, or what happens if if AI starts creating computer programs which go beyond human control. So those kind of risks are outlier risks which need to be addressed separately and which need to be sort of consistently studied but not necessarily regulated immediately. We'll have to think of if those kind of, what is the likelihood of those scenarios arising, and if those scenarios arise, how do you sort of address those issues, how do you tackle those problems? So that is one part of it, and there I think it is useful to have international cooperation, useful to have international sharing of information as to where those issues lie. The second part of it is really about things like the loss of jobs scenario. Many people, especially in the West, are very worried about loss of jobs, primarily because large language models tend to replace traditional office work. Now, that's not such a serious risk in India yet, because the proportion of white-collar workers in India is much smaller than it is in the West. But it is a risk nevertheless. And so you have to then say that that is not something you can control through legislation. That is something you have to take care of through retraining, through making sure that jobs are created in other areas. The Prime Minister also emphasized that while jobs may be lost in one sector, new jobs may be created in some other sector. So fundamentally, it's a question of skilling, retraining to make sure that people are ready. So policy is needed to sort of see that this kind of retraining takes place, and not necessarily regulation. So that is the second area that we are concerned about as a country in terms of what needs to be done in the regulatory space for AI. The other risks really are about more technological ways to find out when there are deep fakes, which get better and better with technology, because we are in a situation where we can't identify deep fakes so readily. So which means that some collaboration to discover other technologies which will sort of help us identify a deep fake quickly, or require people to label deep fakes so that people know that they're dealing with something which is not a genuine message. All of this is important.
India is set to host the next summit now. How do we intend to build up on the success of the AI Action Summit? And I believe India is set to call it the AI Impact Summit. So how do we also, aim to rebuild the success story of digital public infrastructure?
In some ways, the important element is AI is another level of technology which you can actually apply on something like DPIs, because ultimately DPIs are also application of technology in order to enable public good. And as far as India is concerned, I think it will be a very similar approach to AI as well, in terms of how do you use AI to leverage the DPIs even further? How do you sort of get even better benefits out of AI through using it in the right way in different scenarios. So I think the opportunity of doing that is something which we are looking forward to in the AI summit, which India will be hosting. We would like a very inclusive summit. The emphasis of the Prime Minister has been on an inclusive approach to AI. So we would like to see that more countries are included, more countries are invited. We have already emphasized that we expect that the membership of the Global Partnership on AI, GPAI, is also expanded. You would recall that we chaired GPAI in 2023-24. Then subsequently the chair was Serbia, and now the next chair is the Slovak Republic. So we'd expect that GPAI continues to expand. Currently it has 44 members. It had about 29 a couple of years ago. So we'd expect that that would also expand in the days to come in terms of membership. So this would be our basic emphasis: have an inclusive approach, make sure that AI is used for good, AI is used in a way that we can realize the positive benefits that can come out of it for the largest population.
And to ensure, like the Prime Minister said, that AI is the future, AI is for good, and AI is for all, something that India will ensure. With that, we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of Samvaad. Thank you, sir, for your time and talking to us about the critical initiatives that India is undertaking to enhance and strengthen India's AI ecosystem, because that's something which is not the future, it's the immediate reality, something that we have to adapt to as soon as possible. Thank you once again for your time. To you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.